A very good morning to all my dear friends. I am Prashant Mamani and this is StudyIQ. Today is 13th March and let's see what we have got in the Hindu today. But before that, like every day, a positive statement. You will be exactly as happy you decide to be. This indicates it's very simple to understand that the remote control of happiness is in our hands. You can see many articles on our table today. We have this one on India, France. This one is about e-way bill. This one is on education. Very important topic. Education is something that you find, or questions on education you find every year in your mains examination. And many times if you are coming from educational background, like if you are a teacher, or say for example if someone in your family is a teacher or something, then you could be asked a question regarding education in your interview as well. But yes, you find it every year in at least one question on education is there in your mains examination. This one is about pedophiles and whether it is right to provide them with death penalty or not. This one is an article written by a diplomat, Indian diplomat, and he is writing about India and China and why we should shake hand with each others and things like that. This one is a political one. You can, if you have extra time, then go for it. I have not taken this one on board today. This is my Facebook page here. You can download the PDF of this lecture from my FB page. You can follow me. You can get in touch with me. This is our StudyIQ.com's pen drive and tablet courses range. Much more on our portal. If you have any question or queries regarding our pen drive and tablet courses, what you can do is you can utilize chat support that is available on our portal. You can also give us a call on the numbers that you can see on your screen. Now the first item that we have is IndoFrench Harmony, the relationship between, or the strategic partnership between India and France dates back in 1998. This is the pioneering year when we started this strategic partnership, and it is getting stronger and stronger. At present, you know, this President of France, he was here. Emmanuel Macron was here in our country, and so far what we have seen is that in fact he is here today as well as we are speaking. And the thing is, relationship between both these countries are getting tighter, or you can say are getting stronger and stronger. Now there are 4 items that you can see here. This one is joint vision statement. On Sunday we talked about this thing, you know, this France, right? This unique thing about France is that their international overseas territories is in different parts of the world. You find it in Indian Ocean, you find it in Pacific Ocean, in Atlantic Ocean as well. So this muscle flexing that is done by China in Indo-Pacific region is something that has been, you can say, countered, or this is a message for China. When France and India together, when both these countries are saying that we can tackle this maritime security, and if there is any problem of terrorism and piracy and following international laws and freedom of navigation and things like that. So this joint vision statement was a clear, you can say, message for China that stay out of it, stay out of muscle flexing in this portion here. Then you have this International Solar Alliance. Of course, you know, it is for producing solar energy, harnessing solar energy, and a friend of mine as well as colleague Prashant Dhawan has came out with a special video lecture on International Solar Alliance. Of course, I reckon all of you to check that one out, available both in Hindi and English. So check out International Solar Alliance, know everything about it from this special video lecture from Mr. Dhawan. And then you have this Jaitapur nuclear power plant that hopefully will start the construction, or the whole process will start by the end of this year as far as media reports are concerned. So the thing is, these 2 items are for USA. What both these countries are trying to convince, or trying to say USA, or they are trying to pass this message that if you think that if you step out of this Paris climate agreement, then don't think that everything will fall down, right? We can have a world order without USA as well. Then you have this reciprocal logistics support. 4th item, and it is for a country. Remember here, this one is France, this is Russia here. Looks very similar, the map, but there is a change in pattern and things like that. Anyways, so reciprocal logistics support, where both armed forces of India as well as France, right, they can use each other's facilities. So and this has been termed as a golden step as well. Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that this is a golden step as far as the partnership of France and India is concerned, and this is a message for, you can say, a clear message for Russia that we are not relying on old partners. We can have new partners as well, and at the end of the day, it is a message for the Quad as well. And this was clearly stated that India is not just going to rely on Quad for its security, for security of Indian Ocean, for its strategic interest. If India finds good partners around the world, then yes, India will go ahead with it. And when it comes to this International Solar Alliance, now we are bringing 61 countries. They are in for it. There are in total 121 countries. I told you yesterday that there are other countries as well who are ready to join this thing. Say for example, Germany has said that we are utilizing solar energy and we know how to do it. We have technology and things like that. So we would also like to join this thing. But the thing is, it will take some time. Hopefully next year maybe, or it will be decided by General Assembly of this International Solar Alliance. So only then we will come to know, because earlier on when there was a meeting in Marrakesh, if I'm not wrong, at that point of time there were some 45 countries. They said that yes, we should include other countries as well, and if there are other countries that are interested in joining this solar, and there are countries like Germany, they have good technology. And if they are on board on this, if they are part of this ISA, then it is going to be beneficial for this 121 countries. So you have this many countries at present under this ISA, and 61 countries have ratified it and things like that. So it is a good process that is going on. And India and France are proposing an alternative leadership model for the less developed world. At present, you know, this USA, then you have China as well. They have their own model. For a very long period of time, the world is following this USA's model, and it is more based on what they can make out of it. It is always a deal that USA is looking for. But here, this one is more about helping countries of African continent. It is helping poor countries, and India and France together, they strongly believe this thing, that if they help these countries, then it will be beneficial for the whole world, because then you can uncap this potential of many African countries and things like that. And it will also help us to diversify ourselves from this fossil fuel. And you know, behind fossil fuel as well, there is a big geopolitical games that are going on. You see many wars have been conducted because of this fossil fuel. As far as the solar energy is concerned, it is everywhere, isn't it? Of course, there is a variation if you go to higher latitudes, but it is freely available everywhere. All you need to do is develop good technology and good products that can harness this thing. So it can make our world a bit more peaceful in forthcoming future. This is my personal analysis here. You can think about it. If you have a better idea on it, or if you want to add something on it, then feel free. I would love to hear new thoughts on this thing. That I strongly believe that because solar light is available everywhere, generally speaking, then this will make our world a bit more peaceful, because this whole, you know, this rat race of for acquiring more and more energy will be more distributed, and this will open new doors for many poor countries too. Now, for this ISA, we need $1 trillion by 2030. So far, what we have got, India has committed 1.4 billion. France is giving 1.3 billion. Now, I'm sure you know the difference between trillion and billion, and 1.4 billion is again not a small amount, but we need more money. We are what, 1% or less than that at present. We are talking in what, 0.%. So we need more money, and hopefully in near future, if things are going all right at present, and means the way things are going on, and if everything goes okay in next few years, then we can see more countries coming in, and then we can raise more fund as well for this ISA. Now, problems we need to sort out. First of all, as far as ISA is concerned, or solar industry is concerned, at present it is not that viable. Now we see this news report, and I must add this thing here. In many discussions you will find that there are many experts who are saying that this solar energy is costing us what, of 2 rupees, 2 to 3 rupees per unit. But one thing that they don't talk about is the subsidy that is provided on it. So if you calculate or add subsidies, then you find that it is somewhere even today more than 7 or 8 rupees, which is not that good when you compare it with this thermal energy. So we have to create a viable business model, right? This is very important thing, or else this whole ISA and other things will fail. So mass production, and the more this technology is adopted by the people around the world, it will become more, you can say, more viable business. And then you can have this drop in cost, and then there would be a time when it would be genuinely 1 rupee, and then as well people would be making money out of it. See mobile phones today, right? It used to be very expensive, but now it's nearly free. You do a recharge of what, 200-300 rupees per month, and it's nearly free. You can have as many unlimited calls as you can make. So something similar can be seen in this industry as well. Now let's wait and watch. The other thing is that regarding nuclear story, right, France is a successful country in this thing, but when it comes to our relationship or this deal between France and India, things are moving very slow, and this is increasing the price of this particular project, and then this electricity output again will be expensive. So here is a sort of, you can say, bitterness, or this is a small crack that you find between both these countries, which can be easily cemented if this process of building this nuclear power plant is being paced up with. And that's everything. And regarding security, terrorism, Paris attack is a big thing. India is a country that has been victim of terrorism for a very long period of time. So it depends how closely we are ready to work with each other in terms of intelligence sharing, as well as when it comes to maritime, how closely we are ready to share each or share experience as well as technologies as far as navies are concerned. This one is about this article that I told you, written by a diplomat. It is about India and China. So this is about always a rule maker. Now it is talking about ISA as well. In this summit underlines India's place in the new world order. See, if you see this Chinese dream, and if you follow this America first thing, then you find that both these models are based on economic development. And if you analyze it with a magnifying glass of ecology, then you find that of course in terms of economy they are good, but when you see it from ecological point of view, then they are destroying. They are not, you can say, sustainable ideas. Chinese dream as well as this America first. But ISA is a third alternative that is being presented by predominantly India, and it is suggesting a third way of doing things in the world. This recent meeting of ASEAN countries with our country, they were here, ASEAN leaders were here for our 26th January celebration. And at that point of time as well, they questioned this Chinese dream. They said that Chinese dream means there was a question raised by these countries as well, that this is something that is not sustainable. Now, everyone is knowing about this thing, that you can make money in short term. You can destroy your jungles and make money in short term, but in long term, after maybe 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, it is the people of your country that are going to face all these problems of water scarcity and lack of food and other things and many other diseases as well. So this is a matter of worry for most of the countries around the world. But even today we see the way Chinese are, the way they do things, and the way USA, right, the way they rolls. You can say that they are still not serious about. In fact, we talked about this thing that USA has in fact stepped out of this Paris Agreement as well. So these are the things that are going on. Now, India should now give primacy to rules that will chart a path for its own sustainable prosperity. This is the time that India is rising up, and it is believed, and this is somewhere right as well, that India is India is capable of keeping a fine balance between economy and ecology. This has always been part of our traditional way of life, and in modern times as well, we are always suggesting that the way we used to do things back in time, we can do the same things. Of course, we can have all these technologies and other things, but the way our behavior was, it was more about caring nature, right? And this is something that we can apply here, yoga, and this is the reason why we are spreading all this Indian ideas or traditional ideas around the world. And there are many countries that believe that India can keep a fine balance. India is capable of countering this Chinese dream as well as America first. The challenge for India is to take advantage of global trends which must operate within ecological limits. We have already talked about it. Now, moving on. If we see the relationship between India and China nowadays, in last couple of days, what we find is that positive signals are coming from China as well, and positive signals are being sent by India too, because now we know, it means we were always knowing this thing. There was this Doklam issue, and then now we have this Xi Jinping is going to be there for a very long period of time, if not for permanent, right? Of course, he's not going to stay permanent, but for next 10 years, maybe he will be there. So, and we know, we have talked about it, that he is under his reign, we are going to see a bit of aggressive China. But at the same time, China is also aware about this thing, that if we join hands together with India, and this is something that is accepted and appreciated by India as well, that if we work with China, then we can, our development can go up. Now, in media reports, we find that there are clashes between both these countries. Yes, that is true. But at the same time, if you see the other side of the coin, then we have talked about this thing a couple of days ago. It was a news item that bilateral trade is going very well, somewhere around $80-90 billion trade that we do between each other, which is not a small amount at all. And the other thing is that we had Doklam issue then as well. It has not affected the bilateral trade, import-export that takes place between India and China. So potential is there. And then you have this Belt and Road Initiative. It is passing from CPEC. This is the only problem. Not CPEC. It is passing from Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, and that is known as this CPEC, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. Now, a couple of days ago, there was this editorial as well. We talked about it. I would like to remind you that China said that it will have a fresh negotiation once this POK issue is decided, and it has also invited India to join this thing. And if we join it, then there is no harm in it as well. We can always have our claim, and this is a right claim as well, that POK belongs to us. So that is going to stay there forever. We can, once we join it, then we can pressurize China to sort out things with. Now they have already made this huge amount of investment, so they are not going to stop this thing here. But then not joining this BRI, we are going to lose. Then this France as well. It is supporting us at different level, but at the same time, France is also, I must say that they are also up for this Belt and Road Initiative. So we are missing clearly in this thing. Then when it comes to this Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, RCEP, long-term benefits are there for our country, no doubt, and this RCEP is dominated by China and India, and we are not taking, or this RCEP is not talking about strict rules on labor or environment, intellectual property rights. And this is something that is creating troubles for USA and European Union and other things, because these countries, right, many times they don't share these technologies that they have developed with countries like India and China and other countries. So together we can have our own a little world here, RCEP 1. And yes, this is a place where both the countries are doing very well. BRICS, right, reasonably successful. We have BRICS Development Bank, again reasonably successful. India is supporting this bank as well. Then you have this BRICS Contingent Reserve Arrangement, and China, Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. And here India is second largest shareholder. So there are many common areas, right, at which we are together, and we can utilize this you can say multifaceted, or this spectrum of relationship between India, and there are many colors in this spectrum, I must say, and we can sort this little bit of problems that are out there, these geopolitical problems, and then we can work together and we can bring and lift out millions and millions of people who are living under poverty. The two sides have just recognized, this is the thing that I was talking about, that this recognize the sensitivity to each other's concerns, interests and aspirations, and China has suggested that they meet halfway, right? So this is the thing, and India has to, in 2018 we have to make some hard choices. We have joined Quad. At the same time, we are working with France as well. We are developing our defense relationship with USA. Russia is not feeling that good about it, but there are other things that we can offer to Russia and things like that. So we have to make some hard choices, and it will be diplomatically a challenging phase for our country to keep this fine balance and make sure that everyone is happy with us. With this, we move on to this very small and easy to understand GST as well as e-way bill. Now, GST Council is a supreme body that takes decisions pertaining to this indirect tax in our country. You have this group of ministers that is looking after these technical problems that we faced during the rollout of GST, and then later on this e-way bill. Now, e-way bill, you have to have e-way bill from April 1st, right, to all interstate movements. So from one state to other state, movement of goods that are above 50,000. Earlier on, 10-kilometer rule was applied as well, but now it has been dropped at present. We will see this 10-kilometer rule in near future, but at present you have only one thing. On 1st April we will find, with the introduction, with the starting of new financial year, we will see this introduction of e-way bill system. Earlier on we tried to do it on February 1st, but it was aborted because of technical problems that we faced in this e-way bill thingy. So 50,000 or more, you need to have e-way bill. Then you have this intrastate, as per this GST Council. Arun Jaitley has said that this will be rolled out later on 1st June, and everything is going to be in a phased manner, right? So that we can sort out the problems, just in case if there are any problems, technical problems or any other problems, that we can sort them out. So we are step by step, incrementally heading towards a proper e-way bill. One of the main reason is to stop this evasion of tax that is taking place. And the good news is that government at present is using this big data. Now, you know, we have this technology and things like that, and with this help of this big data and other technologies, you can find out the missing links in this whole tax supply chain. So it will become a bit easier for our authorities to find out who are the people or businesses who are not paying their due share. And with the help of this thing, you can apply, you know, this fines and other things. And I strongly believe that technology is the only thing that can change this behavior of Indian businesses. It is part of our culture to duck tax, and this is very sad thing, because we know very well we need good roads. We are very demanding people, I must say, but when it comes to giving, or when it comes to giving your right share, people will do everything. They will try every trick in the book to duck tax and to not pay tax or evade tax, right? So government as well around the world, this sort of things you find, but you have different compliance level. So if we have a very good compliance level, then things can become more, means development of our country will become a bit faster. So big data and technology is a thing that can force, or you can say that can create these boundaries, or you can say that can create this fence, that it will become nearly impossible, very difficult, right, for anyone to duck tax. And industry is worried about this inspection, physical inspection that can be conducted under this e-way bill. You can have officers and they can check your truck and things like that, whether you are carrying this bill or not, whether the bill that you are carrying is right or wrong. But again, this means you have to create this enforcement fear as well. And at the same time, you know, fear, it works. It is a good tool to make sure everyone is following this thing. And the second thing is this big data and more technology can help. And we can learn from other countries who used to face this sort of problems, but now they are not, or compliance rate has gone up. So this sort of things can be done. And then we have experts as well. It is not that we are not knowing anything at all. There are theories, there are books, there are colleges and subjects on this thing, it's a matter of applying this thing and implementing it, right? This Inspector Raj thing is something you can use it now, but this is not going to be your permanent solution. You have to get rid of this thing, because you know, then you have this corruption, and then there is this whole point of e-way bill will remain a stupid practice. So big data and technology can sort these things out. Now moving on to cost of education. Now this one is about fees, rise in fees, and this fees of course we are talking about private schools. So regulating school fees is a big challenge in our country, because you have this constitutionally protected freedom that if you are in a private business, if you are doing a business, then you are free to do it as far as the things and services that you are offering are legal, are not against the law. And of course education is not against the law, so you have this freedom. You can have, or you can decide your own fee, right? There is no bar on it, and at the same time we need this quality education. We have to make it affordable as well as accessible for our generations and generations, right? So this is a very, you can say, challenging scenario. You can understand, right? You have private schools now, of course, at the end of the day private school is there for making money, and there is no harm in it as well, right? Making money is not a bad thing as far as you are paying your tax, and as far as the things are ethical. But we have this challenge of providing affordable and accessible. So this is a bit tricky situation here, and you find this thing every year in different parts of our country. You find this news item. You have school management on one side and you have parents on the other side. Of course, parents, they are seeking good facility for their kids. They want proper facility, world-class facilities and things like that. School management, many a times you find this fee hike, rise in fee, and many a times you have this clash, like parents will be claiming that they have not added anything, then why money? And then school management will say that we have been adding things for a very long period of time and now we cannot survive and things like that. So this is a sort of tug of war going every year in different parts of our country. Now there is not much clarity when it comes to surplus or reasonable surplus or commercialization of education. We have not defined it, and you can understand this thing as well. It becomes very difficult, right? How you can, now when it comes to education or quality education, right, you don't have meters through which it is about quality. That's the reason why you find this term quality here. So it's very difficult to scale it, but yes, you can see from the behavior of the kids or a group of kids, you can say that yes, the school is performing very well. And there are several states, they have enacted these laws. They have tried to put this cap on this whole process. Of course, you know, because parents, when they agitate, and then you have this whole issue of vote bank and things like that, and then you have this thing as well. Weak implementation is a thing, and this whole item here, this surplus and reasonable surplus and commercialization of education, falls in this gray area. It is not defined. It is difficult to define as well. I'm sure you understand this thing, but the thing is, the problem is many a times you find this disease of financial management as well. I have seen this thing. I know this thing, that there are many schools out there. There are many colleges out there. What they do is, private colleges and schools, what they do is they will recruit a teacher on paper. They will pay, say for example, 40,000 per year, right? But you will get this money in your bank. What you do later on is that you have to give back 10,000 rupees as cash. You won't believe this thing, but yes, this type of things do take place. And why they do it? They do it for many reasons. One thing is that they can show that they are hiring expensive or their staff. So when this is, you know, they can increase, they can show that they're expensive, so they get a sort of rebate in tax as well, exemption in tax. At the same time, they can charge extra money from the parents. So this sort of practices, we find it, and it is lack of implementation of proper rules and regulations. That's why we find this sort of things. So what can be done about it? We need, of course, supervised audits, regular audits. Then we need proper rules and regulation, regular inspection and things like that. But all these things are fine, right? But what I feel is that if you have this inspectors going on, right, then again you will see the same. This strategy has failed for a very long period of time. This has let us down for a very long period of time. We have seen this thing, right, that when you have this group of inspectors, they will visit and their nashta and chai and other things are looked after. They will be provided with good facilities, and that's it. And there you go, and give some more money, and that's a job is done. So if this sort of things are conducted, then this is not going to help. We need more democratic system. Nowadays you have applications and other things, and then you can use this data from your different teachers and different parents. They can take this survey and interviews and things like that, and then you can decide whether this fee hike is right or wrong. It is a lengthy process, but it is an important one. This is about ineffective and arbitrary death penalty. Now, death penalty for any person raping or if a person is committed of conducting a rape on a girl that is below 12 years of age, which is of course a child, and if anyone does this sort of things, then they will be hanged, right? Death penalty will be awarded to them. Now, on emotional level, I can understand that if something happens with, God forbid, with anyone's family, then the first thing that anyone will feel is that they would like to see that person dead, isn't it? This is going to be a very natural emotion, no doubt. But if we analyze this whole thing, then what we find is the states who are coming out with this sort of laws, right, they may sound sweet to our ears, but if you think about it, if you analyze it, then we find that this is not this ultimate solution. Now, one belief is that the harsher the punishment, it will create this deterrence. Of course, no doubt, yes, it will. If you remove this law of murder, then we cannot imagine how many people civilized people, how wild they are. It would be very surprising if we just remove it for a couple of hours. But this child rape thing, these pedophiles, right, they are sick people. Remember this thing. This is a psychological issue. And death is something, you can see a crackhead, he would be behaving in a very different way than normal people. So it's really, you can say, this will hardly create a sort of deterrence. The other thing is justice for child survivors demand that the law provide for death penalty, and then you have this abhorrence for the crime makes this perpetrator deserving this emotional attachment that you find, or these emotions that arise out of this sort of crimes when we hear about it. But the thing is, if we see this is what we are talking. We are basically trying to sort out the symptoms, isn't it? We are, of course, death penalty we are giving or talking about death penalty, but it is not stopping this whole process. Yes, once you have found someone guilty, then you can either throw them to gallows, or either you can throw them behind the bar forever. That can be done. But the thing is, how we are going to stop this thing. If we see through the studies that have been done in different parts of the world, then we find that in UK, say for example, what you find, or in many European countries, what you find is, if there is a pedophile, right, if someone is proved as a pedophile, then once he has, depending on what type of crime that person has done, many a times watching porn, child porn as well, is considered as a pedophilic activity. So if a person is doing this sort of thing, then the whole community, the area in which that person is living, schools, and all these places, you will find that person's picture. So it is about creating this sort of shame. At the same time, you are creating awareness as well, that make sure you keep an eye on your kids when these kids are nearby, because this type of people, one more thing about this type of people is that they are very good in blending with this environment, and most of the time you find they are relatives of the child that is abused. So what we need is, if we want to sort this thing out, then the need of the hour is we need this specialized investigators, right? The way our police, the way they do investigation, right? A child will just cry, they don't know how to bring out things from it. So we need proper trained specialized investigators, we need specialized prosecutors, dedicated judges, mental health professionals, proper doctors, forensic experts who have worked in this child abusing or child abusive cases, and then you have this social workers as well who will create awareness and things like that. Only then we will be able to sort out this thing. We need this whole machinery setup. Every person here, right, or every department is important. Only then we can get rid of this sort of things if they are going on in our society. And the other thing is that we have lack of this rehabilitation thing. We need more child-friendly legal procedures, right? And whole of shame is a very important thing, and that's the need of the hour. And one more thing, as per our constitution, you cannot create this sort of laws where judges will have no option at all, right? A judge should always have an option whether that person should be sent behind, like for life imprisonment or death penalty. You cannot take away this option from the judges as well. And so that's everything regarding it. Sad news coming from Nepal. 49 have died in this plane crash here. Then you have this other important items. You know, this big Kisan rally is going on in Maharashtra. So finally news is out there that Maharashtra CM bows to the demands of farmers. 6-month deadline for 2G case probes. Supreme Court has pulled up this CBI and ED for delay and demands a status report. Supreme Court seeks data on this child sex abuser. Again in news, so compare this or relate this news item with what we have discussed so far. UK fumes at French offer to Indian students. You know, millions of Indian students, they go out there in UK and they study over there. So now France is offering this alternative, is asking. So it is basically, it means UK is watching this thing with its eyes wide open. S-400 deal between India and Russia may be finalized by 31st March. Noted positive remarks by India and China. Again, relate these two items, this one and the other one, with what we have discussed with India-China thing, and Nirmala Sitharaman to visit China in April. Vladimir Putin may have ordered this or given this permission to shoot down a plane, a passenger plane, back in 2014. So this is a news item that is out now. We will find out more about it in a couple of days, because this is going to be a big thing. We have found a pre-Iron Age items in Odisha, so keep this thing in mind. Yellow and dark gray color soil has been noticed here. And do go through this article. You will find it in the last page. This are news items. These are the things that you have to do a bit of self-study. What I'm doing here, I'm highlighting important news here. Bank needs better governance, said by International Monetary Fund. You know, NPA issue and this fraud issues that are coming out. IIP quickens to 7.5. Inflation is a bit down, which is a good thing. And EIB cautions India against levy of import duty. This is a European investment bank is saying that this is not going to be good for Indian solar mission or Indian solar vision or dream. And advertisement on TB is here. Go through it. Some important points. These are your answers. These are your fresh new questions. And this is a cartoon that you find. Do let me know about your opinion, or what do you understand from this cartoon. And yesterday's cartoon answer is pending as well. And that's everything that I have got here. I will see you all soon. Enjoy your studies. Jai Hind.